Hi there, rival. We're going to wait till exactly 7 o'clock, and then I'm going to invite Sam Shelton, a professional still wrestler, to join us. And we're going to have a 30-minute to an hour-long conversation just about rodeo and what it's like to be a professional rodeo athlete. If you have any questions that you would like to ask him, feel free to put them in the comments, because at the end of the live, we will do like a Q&A. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love it too. It's so dirty. I wore it all summer, and it's time for me to get a new one, I think. Go. Okay. Okay. Invite sent.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you and I can hear you clear.
Hello.
Awesome.
I'm nervous. This is my first live ever.
Yeah, so there's going to be a slight delay, probably because of the distance, but we'll figure it out.
We'll improvise.
Yeah. So how are you? How are you doing? I bet it's cold up there.
Yes, it's getting colder every day. It's bullcrap.
Yeah. So just to give a little rundown of how these lives kind of go, like I said, there can be a delay. We usually have a replay at the end that I'll upload up onto YouTube. At the end of the live, sometimes people will ask questions, and so then there will be a Q&A if there are any questions of like if they wanted to ask you something, we'll touch on those at the end.
Okay.
It's just because if there isn't a lot of people that watch now, like we might have like one or two people that stay through the whole thing. That's fine, because there'll be the replay at the end that'll be posted on YouTube, so people can go and watch it then. So it's a Friday night. I'm sure a lot of people are out, or there might be a lot more people that will want to join. I know we've got at least 6 people watching right now, so that's super cool.
6 people. Woo!
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So just a little bit about me for people that may be watching this live that have no idea who I am. I'm Georgette. I have this TikTok channel. I've been rodeoing since I was 13, so 10 years, and I have been training horses for about 6. I have Sam Shelton here with me, who is a professional steer wrestler.
Yes,
So, Sam, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, that'd be great.
Yes, I'm a professional dummy that jumps off perfectly good horses on running steers. Because I wasn't good enough to rope. No. No, I've been rodeoing my whole life. My parents, I've been pretty fortunate. I had parents who got to rodeo, so I've been in it since I was in diapers, and then started riding horses since I could probably walk. But then rodeoing itself, probably not. I didn't. 6th grade, I started taking it seriously and wanted to start doing it, and then just kind of been doing it ever since 6th grade.
The 6th grade, yeah.
Yeah, but
So, yeah, go ahead. If you have any more, go right ahead.
I started off roping, team roping, heading, and then got into calf roping, and then. But I'd say steer wrestling itself, I didn't shoot dog till like 8th grade, and then started jumping steers like 9th grade, and so I could say I've been bulldogging for about probably 15 years now. Yeah.
Okay. So
And then I just started
just so
recently training horse. Oh, sorry.
no, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. See, that's the delay I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
Um, so for some of the people that are watching that have no idea what shoot dogging and steer wrestling is, could you give them kind of a rundown of what those events are?
Yeah. So steer wrestling, yeah, itself is two horses, a steer and a shoot, and then one guy jumping the steer, the other guy lining the steer out. But yeah, it first starts off, they call it shoot dogging. A lot of terms, bulldogging, shoot dogging, and shoot dogging is just the ground part where you have to actually wrestle the steer, and then a lot of it's you can do it various ways, but pretty normal for people to start off in a rough stock shoot, standing in there with the steer, opening the chute, and then go and throw them down, and do the macho thing, and then then you work your way up until you decide you're dumb enough to jump off for the good horse. You just start off, go to a bulldogging school or something, and
Yeah.
see where it goes.
So you said you did a little bit of team roping. So what did you just feel like you were just better at the steer wrestling than the roping? Because I've tried roping and it's not for me. And I was like, I'm better at running around 3 cans. That's me. I'm just better at that.
Yeah, rope. I mean, it's something I'll pursue later on. It just doesn't. I started off. Yeah, Dad wanted me to start team roping, and kind of because roping kind of makes you a better horseman, per se. And Mom's a big bell racer. She's always big on horsemanship skills. She's like, you're gonna learn how to rope. So I kind of got, and I enjoy it. But then my dad, he bulldogged, and I got to watch him. But he told me, oh, not till 9th grade. I'll let you, 9th grade you can start jumping, and because it's pretty tough. It's not for the weak at heart, that's for sure. Just because the fact it's if you don't know what you're doing horsemanship wise, you can easily get hurt. But I'm very fortunate. I started off roping, and I did learn those horsemanship skills because it does make bulldogging a lot easier the better horseman you are, believe it or not.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a huge misconception when it comes to steer wrestling or bulldogging or whatever. Because I feel like a lot of people think it's just simply run a horse in a straight line and jump off.
No,
And
yeah.
yeah, I feel like there's way more horsemanship that goes into it.
Oh yeah, and like I don't know why that's the stereotype that bulldoggers like that's the stereotype of just and there is because there is a bunch of big guys out there that they don't have so much horsemanship skills, but they ride a really really good horse, so it doesn't show as much, and that's what bulldogging. But someone's got to make the horse, so and but no, I found and it's easier and like in bulldogging we're kind of different than any other event. It's pretty normal to ride somebody else's horse at a rodeo, and like your event per se, that's not. I mean, you just don't do that. And if you
Mm-hmm.
do, that's a special relationship you have with that person. But bulldogging, it's just weird. I don't know what it is, who started it, but it was kind of my dad's generation too. Is if you kind of got good enough and kind of worked your way up and got good and started winning, you can go kind of scout out what horses they're winning on and just go up to them and be like, hey man, and it's as simple as that. It's like, can I ride your horse? and, and that's what it is, and you'll get a lot of no's, but you'd be surprised how many yeses you get, if you just ask, because I've asked some world champions to ride their horses and they let me on, and I'm like, holy crap, I get to ride this horse. This is nuts. And I
Yeah.
don't know, and that's why I think I've kind of been drawn to the sport of bulldogging, because it is kind of a brotherhood, but it is, but it isn't. Um, but yeah, it's not like bell racing tie down. You just go up to, Shad Mayfield. Hey, Shad, can I rope on your horse? That just probably ain't going to happen, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
How
it with
about you?
bulldog, and it sounds like it's a little bit more of a um you've earned your right to be here.
Yeah, you got to
So
definitely,
yeah.
just like anything else, you got to earn your spurs, but it is, it's very humbling because, it's pretty cool event because it's the only event too where like like you said roping it's very difficult. Like I was fortunate to start off as a little kid and it's just something about that like I've tried to teach people how to rope and it's very difficult. But bulldogging it's weird. I've gone to bulldogging clinics or schools and guys that have never been on a horse, they've never done it, and then after like the third day they just kind of like naturals at it, and I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe that is true in the team roping barrel racing world. I don't know, but bulldogging, some guys pick it up, and then some other guys not so much. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very peculiar event. It's its own kind for sure.
Yeah. And I know with barrel racing in particular for me, there is that natural talent that some girls can just pick up on. Like I've had a few students that'll come to me, I'm like, oh yeah, this girl can sit a horse. But then there's those others that like they can't, they would be able to ride a, you know,
Yeah,
they can't, So I mean, there are those natural talented people, but I feel like it is harder when it comes to riding like a fast horse around, three barrels and then with roping, there's multiple things going on. You have to learn how to do a rope properly, plus have horsemanship on top of it, you
hmm
know. And so I feel like each event has its own like niche. But
yeah. It definitely does, and that especially like in the higher ranks you get to, it just that's why I have so much respect for all around cowboys, the guys that can compete at the high levels in multiple events. Because man, it's a full time job, just one event. And but
yeah,
yeah. So when did you get? So you said you started at 13. You said.
yeah. So um, I originally was like a Western pleasure rider, like the pretty horses, all dressed up
Uh,
in the gems and jewels and like go slow around the arena. Um, and I mean, I started doing 4-H, and I remember my dad had trained a little bay roan mare, and I needed a horse to start 4-Hing on. So I took her and I started doing barrels and the speed events, just basically gymkhanas, just like going around different obstacles really fast. And at the end of it, I had a gal come up to me and she's like, "You should totally do high school rodeo." And I remember I started crying because I just never thought that like rodeo would even be a thing. Like I always knew about it and I always admired those girls that go into the NFR and stuff. And I was like, rodeo? Are you kidding me? Like I remember going to the county rodeo and thinking those people were so cool. They're in there doing all that cool stuff, and I'm out here just on my little farm pony. But she said I should go, and so I went my 13-year-old year, and it just kind of been that since. Like I haven't have I've gone to barrel races. I like barrel races and going to jackpots and stuff, but it just doesn't hit the same as rodeo,
no,
Like
it's its own. It's like it really literally is a drug, and
yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
lifestyle. Like, and that's one thing I think. Because also like back to the there's so many things I can't wait to. I want to do this again because there's so many things you can
Oh yeah,
talk about.
totally.
Um, but like rodeo, it's its own. I love it because the people who really want to do it are the ones that That's why I like going up and like rodeo itself. I love going up to world champions and asking questions because they got that. They just didn't get handed the gold buckle, and it's like it really weeds out who really wants to do it. It's so expensive, like just horses alone in any industry of horse, but rodeo itself, because man, you'll go, especially like you're training a horse, I'm training a horse, and you're going to go through a lot of lows,
Mhm.
and then you'll get one little high, and you're like, oh, okay, this is it, this is the train, and then back on the low. So it's not for the faint of heart. It's like we're half crazy, I think.
Yeah, well, I just made a financial goal today because I'm going to be going to farrier school to be a farrier. So
That's
I just
awesome.
made a financial goal to go to school, hit like a mark I wanted to meet. And I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, it has taken me a long time to just save up this little bit of money on the side because it's always this, oh, made some, oh, lost some, oh, made some, and then lost some. And the same thing tonight. I was on my horses tonight and I'm training, and my horse that is 1D locally was just not working the way I wanted him to. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you know this stuff. Why are we going back 3 steps? Like, what's happening here? And it's that I think it's that right there that I think a lot of people that want to make it don't realize that, okay, it's like a daily thing that you've got to get up every day. You've got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, and you're gonna leave the barn pissed more than you are happy. I feel like.
Oh yeah,
That's just me though.
and it's more than anything, like it's such two things, two aspects, like I've come to figure out more than ever is one, horse. I mean, horsepower, it's especially today. I mean, there's so many, oh my God, you know how it is in the bell racing world. There's just so many
Hmm.
good horses and people are getting extremely talented with horsemanship and riding these horses. And it's like you don't if you show up with a slug bug to a bunch of Ferraris, you ain't gonna win nothing, and you're just setting yourself up for and it ain't easy making. That's another humbling thing too. I just thought there was, especially bulldogging, you know, where team roping and bell racing, there's so many people that do it on, just the hobby level, and there's just so many horses. Where bulldogging, it's like it's really tough to find these good horses if you do have some money to go buy a pro rodeo horse, because not a whole lot of people train them anymore, and so that's why I went to, I can't afford $50,000 bulldog horse, because that's the market, and that's what sucks too about bulldogging is I go down the road and there's this horse I can go to any rodeo and win on. He wants 20, and then this guy further down the road, he's got a little bit more pride and maybe a horse that's not as good, but he wants 50, because he's like
Yeah.
that's what he's worth, and it's a definitely it's a weird world, but and then making them, you know, at the end of the day, like how horses are, you can't make a horse has got to love it just as much as you do, and that's what's really tough now these days. Is like, I'm like, man, I'm bulldogging so good at practice. Me and you, we work at it every day, and then you're just not getting clicked with that horse. So I mean, that's where you know it's the most humbling part of this whole game. Yeah, I'd say is the horses, and why I keep doing it too. But because there's,
Yeah. No, yeah, you're
sorry,
right.
I'm
Like,
rambling off there.
no, you're fine. You're fine. No, you're good. You're good. Um, yeah, you're just talking about the horses. Like, I made a video not that long ago on my face on my TikTok about the people that will have like a non-papered horse that's grayed, that's not doesn't really have anything there, like it's a slug bug as you put it, and how they expect to just take this horse and win the 1D with it is that we're living in an age now with horses that so many horses are like, especially in the rodeo industry, you'll see like Frenchman's Guide that are rope horses and barrel horses, and you'll see all these different bloodlines mixed in together. There's like barrel horses that are cow bred, they're not even running bred. Like, it's all mixed in together. And so you have all these different bloodlines that are really good. And then you said horsemanship, and we have all of these younger people that are getting really good at their horsemanship.
Really good.
Yeah. So the level just keeps getting higher and higher. And I feel like, especially right now in the time that we live in, I feel like the competition's getting way more intense out there, in my opinion.
Oh, oh, I mean, yeah, just look at the American and look at, I don't know if not a lot of people realize, but like there's these WCRA rodeos, it's they call it the nominating system, and I think it's
Hmm.
genius, by the way. Like Trevor Brazil and Bobby Mote are geniuses because they're just using every association and using their rodeos to get, the payout, big payoffs at their rodeos, and it's pretty cool system. I think it's like, yeah, you got to pay a little bit more, but hey, that's what this game is. You got to gamble a little bit more if you want to. Got to risk it to get the biscuit. But like you said, yeah, what's cool is with the American, and what I do like, rodeo is growing, and it is exciting to see because it's always been like your local barrel club or a couple amateur associations in the PRCA, which it's I like to see, like now there's an American where like how many young kids have we seen gone to the American and just kicked butt and won
Hmm.
all this cash, and like that breakaway girl, I think last year before, she's like 17, she won the whole thing, like
Yeah.
100,000. That's it's cool. And so I mean, and money talks. So yeah, you bring out the big money, and you're starting to see all these young cats are like, holy crap, like there's 15-year-olds that can outrope me It's crazy. It's pretty
Hmm.
cool though.
It
And
is
the
cool,
barrel
and I
horses
think
too.
it's yeah, but I think it's really encouraging to see more in the industry and like different ages. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't pro rodeo still you got to be 18 to be in
Yeah,
pro
that
rodeo?
and there's so many rules that the PRSA is such a it's kind of a joke on the political side of things because it's such I don't even get in it because it's frustrating because Cowboys, it's kind of like, union, like Cowboys, if it wasn't for the Cowboys or contestants, there wouldn't be, right? But yet we don't necessarily, they're change. Yeah, there's a lot of people fighting that because like the Sid Steiner,
Okay.
the kid, he was trying, they're having these permit deals and they're having all these young kids come into it and they can get into the expedition part, into the rodeo. And it's all ties back to money, but yet they can't I think it should be man, I think if you want to enter, yeah, if they're under 18, sign a waiver. But I think if a kid thinks kid's 16 and he can compete against the big boys, I mean, let him enter because the more people can enter, the more money in the pot. So, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I think you still have to be 18 though. Now, yeah, you have to be 18, I believe, to be able to buy a permit. Yes, but I think it
Okay.
should change. But
Yeah,
yeah, but
I mean that's kind of what I was wondering because I know a lot of people that I high school rodeoed with. They're in the pro rodeo now, and I it's so cool seeing a bunch of people that I personally got to rodeo with. They're doing it, and I'm so proud of them. And I think that's kind of sad that they had to wait till they were 18. But I mean, they're doing it now, and I think that's pretty cool. So
yeah, it is. It is cool, man. There's this so then there's this it's cool. And was going to talk about earlier. It's so cool that you're. So where exactly do you live? Where are you located?
like right
Because
square in the middle of Iowa.
oh, you're in Iowa. Okay, awesome. I
Yep.
and I haven't been far. Like I've been to Springfield, Illinois for the high school finals back in high school. That's the farthest east I've been. And what's really cool is with social media and everything, realizing how many rodeo horse people there are like out in the Midwest and in the east side of the country. I've been, in the Northwest and like I know there's Texas and California, but um there's just it is cool. There's a lot of like we were saying, there's a lot I've been seeing a lot of talent in the pro rodeos, like guys from Iowa and guys from like Maryland and in New York. There's
Yeah.
Cowboys from New York. It's cool to see how big it's getting. Or I think it's always been big. We just haven't, we've been in our closed
Yeah.
rodeo communities.
Yeah,
But
we've just been over in our little corner of the world, and now that we have all this social media, we're able to see everybody. Like one of my friends, he is from Iowa, and he's a team roper now, and he's pro rodeoing. And I'm like, man, good for you. Like he even told me he was like, I'm not sure if I should go for it or not. He's like, but I just went for it. He's like, I have no idea if I'm good enough. He's like, but I'm gonna go ahead and sorry, he's not a team roper, calf roper. Sorry. He was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go be calf roper in the pro rodeo. And I'm like, there you go. I'm like, you do that. Like I have no idea the steps that it takes to get to that point. I'm slowly working my way there. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. You know what I mean? Like I want to be very earn the spot or whatever. And he was like, he just jumped right on the deep end of the pool, and I was like, man, and he's doing good too. Like, so I'm excited for him.
I'm just sorry, it's my first live. I noticed we got some questions here. Ellie, hi Ellie, by the way, and Fagan.
Yeah.
Some horse people I know. Ellie, some good top best bloodlines. To be honest, I'm not. When I'm looking at a horse, I don't really look at the blood. I should know bloodlines. That's an area I need to improve my expertise in. I need to learn more. But I just kind of I go try the horse out. See someone's got a horse I want to run by, get on it for myself and try it out. And either I get a good feeling that it's gonna make something or not. But top bloodlines, I would say Scooter is or anything that Curtis Cassidy rides, Wagon's back rides, I'd get on that. But bloodlines, no, I definitely need to get more educated in that area for sure. And
So
that is a
what
whole
is
different.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, what was it like competing at the Daddy? I have to know.
Oh,
What
that.
was that like?
Oh
Well, okay,
my.
hold on. What for people that don't know what the Daddy is? Can you tell people what the Daddy is? Because I'm sure
Oh
some
yeah.
people aren't gonna know that.
Well, it's that one rodeo in 8 seconds, the movie we've all watched. But no, no, Cheyenne, Wyoming, one of the oldest rodeos I think you could say around, and it is the dad. Like I will say, like I felt like a little kid going to my first year in rodeo when I rolled up to that place because and I've been to Wyoming, and I haven't spent a whole lot of time in Cheyenne, but I never, like, I've never went and checked it out. And I rolled in. I was coming from Ogden, Utah, and I had to drive all night to get to to Slack at 7 a.m. And I've never been to 7 a.m. Slack. Like you don't go to a whole lot of 7 a.m. Slacks, and so it was cold, and I rolled into that thing, and it is stinking cool. Like it just takes your breath away. It's just one of them things. When I was rolling in there and looking at it empty, I was like, I just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. It's definitely a unique. If you are in the sport of rodeo, or I definitely recommend at least entering that thing once. And it does cost a lot of money to enter it. Probably the most expensive rodeo I've entered in a long time, but it was worth it. It was fun. Um, it's like, and I've heard from so many people that have gone there for years and haven't even placed, but they enter every year because I don't know, words can't express. It's its own little world, and it's the arena. It's so cool. It's so big, and I literally have goosebumps talking about it. But I can't wait to get back. I definitely want to have success because my buddy Newt Novich, who I've rodeoed with a long time, he's thinking won it this year, and I
Did
just
he
thought that was,
really?
yeah, my buddy Newt. So I thought that but it's also interesting. There's a lot of controversy right now with Cheyenne because, you know how rodeos, they have committees and they have
Mhm.
committee format. They have each rodeo has the committee is in control of controlling what that format of that rodeo is going to be. And so Cheyenne, it's been like last year they tried to make it like the Super Series like Cheyenne, and where you pretty much are running like 6 to 8 steers. It's like a tournament style, and you
Oh, okay.
compete instead of competing against a whole pool of guys, you're competing against just like a number of 5 guys that day, and you just got to beat those 5 guys. It can get complicated, but Cheyenne, they used to be just two and a short, and running one steer at Cheyenne is like it is probably the most demanding out of a horse that there is because it's just such a big, long arena, and you're running these fresh steers that have never been touched, so anything can happen. And then definitely where you want to experience taser for sure, and good horses, like horses you can trust. I was kind of I took my horse, and he's pretty green, and I shouldn't have took him. I should have probably got mounted on something better, but he was working so good at the time before Cheyenne that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see if he. And I was also kind of curious. Okay, where's the mental state of my horse? Can he handle this? Because and no, he definitely did not. But it was a learning experience. Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. And I could have rode better too. I could have been a better horseman for sure. And then, but no, to sum it up, one of the coolest rodeos ever. I recommend even just going to watch it. It's a cool rodeo. Hopefully, you can enter it
Even
someday.
even compared to the Pendleton.
No, I would say Pendleton. I'm a little biased, especially now that I placed it around at Pendleton. I say Pendleton is cool. Cheyenne, the thing that's cool about Pendleton, it's its own little. It's a big rodeo, but it's such like a small. Everyone kind of hangs out after the rodeo, and it's a really cool social aspect. You see, it's the last rodeo of the year, pretty much for the season, so everyone's hanging out, just having fun. Like they're not hauling butt to get to the next rodeo, and so it's small, and it's like I mean the population of Pendleton goes from like 10,000 to like the 100,000 that week of Pendleton, and it's kind of a small town, and so it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. But Cheyenne, it's like the rodeo is cool, but after the rodeo, it's just like it's a ghost town. It's I guess I was there at the beginning of the week, so I mean I didn't. But I'd say Pendleton definitely, yeah. I'd say definitely the cool Pendleton's number one in my books, then Cheyenne, but
Okay,
definitely
okay. I was gonna say, and for anybody that doesn't know what Pendleton is, that's what barrel racers will call the Green Mile
yeah.
because
It's yeah.
it's we have to run like across turf to get to the next barrel and then across again and all that. And I think the barrel patterns for pros is like what 20, 25 seconds. Like
Yeah, it's
Huge barrel pattern.
or Ellie in here. Ellie could tell you the times because Ellie's she's Ellie. Oh, by the way, I grew up with Ellie Rodeo, and she's grew up down the road. She's in Colorado right now, but yeah,
Cool.
she 20, yeah, and 29, yes, and yeah, the great. I've honestly, I would be more scared bell racing on that grass because I mean, like you said, you're going from grass and then there's dirt around the barrel, so that's two different that's a lot of transitions,
Yeah,
and
it is. Yeah.
better have a good horseshoer too.
Yeah, I bet. Oh my goodness, I bet.
Oh, and
So,
it's so cool you're talking about going horseshoeing school because I've been thinking about my traveling partner Dylan Hushauer. He shoots. He's a horseshoer, and he's definitely trying to get my butt in the horseshoeing school so I can help him. But
uh,
I went. I definitely gotta lose some weight and get in better shape because it is very humbling. I went and pulled shoes with him for a day, and it oh my god, I was like,
yeah,
I need I need to get better, and just and I love, by the way, everyone should go watch Ellie's stuff. She's got really cool stuff about bits.
she does.
It
I'm
and
friends with her. She's great.
oh, I love her videos. She's giving me motivation to do videos. But my buddy
Good.
Dylan, and and that's what I love about horses. Your head can get big and you think you know something, but like I spent one day with my buddy Dylan and I seen the amount of knowledge I learned about horses and their feet that in one day I was like there's just so much I don't know about horses still, and that's what makes it exciting. Though I think that's what kind of pulls me and wants to keep doing it because you're like, where can you take this? Like, how can I get this much faster? And
Hmm.
but also what's cool is I think this is what's cool about rodeo and horse industry itself. It's people kind of just that's what brings people together. It's a circle of hey, this person has success. I'm gonna go see what they're doing, and I think people are more open to of course there's your original buttheads that won't get lost. I ain't gonna share nothing. It is a competitive sport, but that's what also I
Yeah.
do love about it is you got probably five friends. You're like, hey, something's not working. You call your friend. Hey, what do you think? And but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how they say it, iron sharpens iron. So, I mean, you've got to bounce those ideas off of each other to figure out what to improve on. Like, I just got off the phone with my mom tonight about shoeing horses and stuff. And it amazes me how many people don't get the importance of hooves. Like,
oh man,
those are the things that are carrying your horse. And there'll be so many horses that all have come in. And I'm like, okay, this horse's hooves are pancaking, or this horse's feet are horrible. There'll be other horses I'll see at competitions. I'm like, how do you think that this is good? Like, how do you think that this is a good setup for their hooves? And I'm just lucky to have the farrier I do have because I haven't had no issues with my horse's feet. So,
well
you
that's
know,
good. You drew good
but
on that.
yeah, yeah.
Like my horse right now. This is what's pushing me to want to just learn how to shoot. So I could mainly not make a business out of it, but shoot my own horses because
Yeah.
this year alone, like three rodeos, my horse, he's just cursed with bad feet, I think, because he's just always cracked. They're always cracked and he's always pulling shoe. Or maybe it's just the way his pattern is, I don't know. But those three times and it happens like 10 or 15 minutes before the rodeo. So it's like, you can't, I could call it you couldn't find a horseshoe if I tried, in the towns I was in. So I was just like, man, I need to learn how to do this so I could just tack one on at least. But
Yeah, at
no,
least
it's
band-aided on.
no, it's so important. Like just the structure, like I took a horse anatomy one time and I kind of that's where I got intimidated because there's just so much information about horses that we still like I still don't know today, and I've been around them my whole life. But like you said, like just the veins I've seen, like the hoof, where how many my buddy Dylan he showed me how many veins are just you can strike. I mean, there's just so much science. There's so much science behind the hoof care, hoof health, exactly, and just the little things that I Dylan was pointing out that day. I'm like, holy crap, I never thought of that or looked at that. And then, we were talking about feed one time about, people were giving you crap. I think that's what's cool too is the nutrition side of it, how it's that still, I need to, study a lot more of that too. I just do the alfalfa
Yeah.
pellets, hay, and But I mean, it really does. Like I've kind of rolled with some bigger guys lately, and it is kind of interesting to see what feeding programs everyone out. You know, everyone does have a different style, I think, but I think it's kind of similar in a lot of ways too, though. But
Yeah, definitely. So kind of get back to rodeo. What's been the biggest challenge you've faced in rodeo?
horsepower, learn how lately, how to be, how to separate, learning when it's time to put time for my horse, put my horse first, and learn to put me first. I think that's the biggest challenge I would say this year because um, I've kind of my weaknesses I've had some guys point out is like sometimes I don't know when to make runs for me and I don't know when to make runs for a horse, and I'd say that's the biggest challenge. It's because it's just days, you know, I just throw a fit and I just want to make good runs, and then I could probably be focused on my horse a little bit more. And why is he not, you know, instead of just sitting here making excuses saying, oh, he sucks. It's probably something I'm doing. Yeah, that's my biggest challenge is to just kind of separate the emotions sometimes and break it down and go, okay, what could I be doing for my horse? Because I'm probably not doing, I'm probably, you know, getting his way. But
Yeah.
I'd say that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I can agree with that for me personally, because like, oh yeah, there's just being able to separate the emotion from training is a hard one for me. Being able to just, okay, I'm gonna go to the barn, I'm gonna leave my problems at the door, and when I get in the saddle, it's just gonna be me and the horse. And I struggle with that a lot because I'll always bring work with me to the barn. I'll bring
Yep.
relationship stuff with me to the barn, parenting stuff to the barn, like I'll bring all that. And so I'm just like, oh my goodness, like that can always that can ruin a good run or a good ride real quick.
Yeah. The mental. Yeah. No, exactly. I'm a true believer that whatever, yeah, whatever is in your head, that horse is gonna show it real quick.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
especially when you're training them too. Yeah, I've been there where I've gone to practice pin and I'm just pissed off at life, and then it just the practice starts off like crap, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's definitely the mental side of things. Yeah, emotions in rodeo, it's always a roller coaster.
Hmm. Yeah.
What what do you think is something in rodeo that is like most with horses in general, like our lifestyle? What do you think is one thing that people misunderstand?
For me, what do I think something that people misunderstand?
Yeah.
The horsemanship of it all. With barrel racing specifically, I have to tell like I have to tell some young girls that they shouldn't run their horse. They need to just do slow work and worry about teaching the horse how to carry themselves. Um, there's been at least three people this past year alone that I've had to tell them stop running your horse because they'll run their horse and their horse won't know how to keep a good circle and it'll either fling its hip around or it'll blow by the barrel or it'll knock it over or just there's no fluidity, there's no consistency in the run whatsoever. And it's just simply because the horse really one doesn't know what it's doing or two doesn't know its job. And so the horse doesn't have the right upbringing yet or the right training yet for what it needs to do. And I break a lot of hearts telling younger gals that because all they want to do is run. They just want to run. They just want to run barrels. And I get that because that was me 3 years ago with my colt. Um, because I had a rodeo horse and he had died, so I had to buy a new one. And I bought a 2-year-old because that's what I could afford at the time. I couldn't afford to go out and buy a finished one, so I had to start all the way over again. And it took me a year and a half of just training before I put him on a barrel pattern and started running him. So I feel like that's the thing right there that most young athletes don't get is there is a lot of time behind closed doors that it takes to win.
Oh man.
And I don't think they understand the time though. Like I don't think when I say, "Oh, it takes a long time to win," I think they just think like maybe a month. And I'm like,
No,
"No, it takes
years,
years,
years.
years." So, yeah, that I think that's the biggest thing a lot of kids don't understand. Um, it's you got to be in it for the long haul if you want to
Oh
win.
yeah.
You have to be. So,
Yeah, no, that's what I tell. Like, I've over the years I've had some kids that come for help or something, and yeah, that's I love that's my passion. Like me, I could this is why I love what we're doing. I could sit here and BS rodeo till the day is long, and it's hard to so you invest in time in some kids, and then you can't instill the fire, the want, they
You
gotta
can't.
want to do it. And that's one thing, and when I do, like you said, you probably had a lot of wasted some time on some girls because they didn't realize how it's a journey. It's not just you're gonna get good tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one thing I wish kids would understand. Like I try to tell them, hey, if you really wanted, like I have a couple of kids right now, like, hey man, when are you gonna teach me how to do this? I was like, well, you kind of invest something first and show me that, because I'm not, it's kind of tough, invest into a lot of kids and then they turn around and then, you hope that they, because that's the thing too. That's what's so cool about this sport is we got to keep it growing, right? It's not like we don't have a lot of turnover like the NBA, NFL. There's always going to be people. No, rodeo. And that's what, it is sad to see too, is like I've been seeing a lot of that in the bulldogging a lot in my area with amateur rodeos. When I first started, there was like Spray Oregon. I went to Spray Oregon and there was 80 guys and it paid $3,000 to win. That's like a really good that's one of the best amateur rodeos we had. And then now, shoot, you go to an amateur rodeo where around you're lucky to get 15 guys, and it definitely doesn't pay out very well anymore. But and then yeah, that's where I wish there was, it's tough. Like that's why I kind of like to teach, and that because I'm like, one, I mean, it's fun because when you're teaching kids, it kind of holds yourself accountable. Oh, hey, I gotta remind yourself a lot, and then also though you're like, man, we need to keep this sport alive.
You said hold yourself accountable, because I agree with that, because for me, whenever I'm teaching younger girls how to start barrel racing, they'll ask me a question, like, because I'll be on my horse when I'm teaching them, and I'll do something, just muscle memory. I'll just do something with my horse, and they'll look at me and be like, "So why'd you do that?" And I have to stop what I'm doing and think, "What did I just do? Oh, okay, this is why I did that." Because some stuff I just do. I don't really think about it. I just do it because I've done it so much that I can kind of forget to tell them to do that. And so I think with teaching younger kids, it can kind of remind me to go back to the basics, because I'm forced to have to think, okay, how did I start barrel racing? Like, because I'm running now, like, okay, how do I retrain somebody to go down this route? Like, it's hard to like verbalize it to somebody, to be able to tell them how to do it instead of just showing them or doing it for them. So I think teaching kids has really taught me to slow down and really process and think about what I'm doing.
I know that's what I love. You were one key thing you said I loved is you said slow work. And the last 3 or 4 years, I've
Oh,
really.
you kind of got a little muffled.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, I love that. The key thing you said earlier was like you were saying about slow work, and that's something I wish I would have learned a long time ago, and I just kind of recently applied that to my program of practicing, and I probably focus on slow work like 70% of my practicing anymore, because in bulldogging, and you get to a point where because it's all muscle memory, right? Where bell racing, that's different. That's a whole different world. But bulldogging, shoot, it's literally 90% muscle memory in the bomb ass horse you ride. but but so I get to a point, and when bulldogging, it's a very physical demanding event. So it's and what I've learned though too is like I'm like, oh, you just like you were saying earlier, girls want to go run and make runs, and that's how I was first starting out. Oh, I just want to go make runs, and so like the first probably 5 years of my bulldogging, I developed a lot of bad habits because I just was making runs, but I'm like, am I making correct, efficient runs where I'm maxing out every steer, or I'm using the horse 100% to my advantage, or and I love that you said that though about slow work, and it's crazy how like I have a stress on me, and I got a kid I'm working with right now, like for 2 years, for a year straight, I had him do nothing but the dummy, and he, you know, he was getting, man, I want to run live steers. I want to run live. I'm like, hey man, we're gonna get there. Trust me, I'm gonna. And it's, I believe that the slow work, that that's the best thing for muscle memory for, I think, horses too. Like my mom, she's a barrel racer and trainer. And one thing I learned over, and I remember now going back, and I always remember doing these exercises that are boring and slow. This is no fun. Mom, run around the barrels. It's like, no, it's just, there's so much more depth to turning the
There is.
barrel.
There
And
is. Like, because I have a gal right now that takes lessons from me. I just have her walking around one barrel. Just got her going walking around it. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because if you can't walk around the barrel, that's just one, then you guarantee you're not going to be able to run around three. Like, you're just not. And it's as simple as that. It's just, okay, I'm just going to have you walk around this one for 3 weeks, maybe a month, depending on how you and your horse are treating this one barrel. Because there's a certain way your horse has to go around it. It's not just turning around it. There's a certain technique that your horse has to be able to hold itself when going around it. And I think that's something a lot of people can miss, is like the form of what we do.
yep. And what's cool, and I think back to horsemanship, back to horses, is without, one, it's, and I wish too, is I would have considered, I was always bulldogging for me being selfish, but now I'm having even more fun because when you build a relationship with these horses and you spend time with them, like every day, you're with your horse every day, you build and I think that's how horses grow and get better too, is because they trust you and then you trust them. And I think it's, but, and it's, that's the only way it works too. It's like, if you don't trust the horse, because I've been on like a lot of multiple really good horses, but yet, my horsemanship was lacking a little bit, where I just was like, man, can this horse really get there for me? Or you have a little bit of doubt, or you don't trust the horse. It don't. It's like a machine. It don't work. And that's another thing too. That's humbling too. Is you think, you see these horses and you see guys winning, and you can get on a horse that a guy's winning on, and you get on it, and this horse is a completely different horse than what this guy did with him. And that, to me too, and it all ties back to going back to the slow work. Okay, what are you doing? Because it's like one little move in bulldog, because it happens so fast, and it's all muscle memory. Like, if I pack the biggest thing in like bulldogging world, like a term we use a lot, is packing the rein. And that's probably the worst thing you could do to a horse. I mean, it is the worst thing you could do to a horse in bulldogging, because, and it's a balance thing too, is where for years I would pack reins, and because it's easy, it's like the lazy way to ride a horse, but
So
it's,
what's packing reins? Is that like when you're pulling back too much, or how is that?
so packing reins is like, you nodded, you're going forward, you're about to make your move and get into the hole, and crack, bend your knee, crack, get down the hole, we call it. And it's all balance, like, because I mean, it's not an easy thing to do when the horse is going 35 miles an hour, and you got to time it to where you catch that steer, perfect, where when you crack in the hole, it's all balance. So it's like, and it is a lot of core. And for years I would, pack the rein. It's for balance, because it's more easier to get in the hole and that quick if you're holding on to that rein. But yet, what you're doing is you're putting all that weight and that stress on that horse's mouth, and especially if you got a pretty severe bit in there. I mean, that's just, you're jerking that horse, and it's so hard on the horse. And like, that's a lot of reasons. For a long time, I didn't get mounted by a lot of guys, because I had that bad habit. And in the bulldogging world, that there's two different bulldoggers. There's guys that ride correctly, and they don't pull on the rein. There's guys that pull on the reins, and it's kind of funny. But no, but
Oh yeah.
I've worked on it. But what helped me break that habit, and I still struggle with it. I think it's going to be something I always struggle with. But one thing that's helped me break that habit and got better at it is slow on a dummy, on an iron horse, we call it. And then there's a horse dummy and a steer wrestling dummy. And I'll take a live horse, and then like a broco horse, and I'll just ride by that dummy like over and over till I'm bored in the face, and just do that slow work. And, you get so bored with it, but yet you really, you got to reprogram your brain, your muscle memory. And,
Yeah.
but, But okay, so back to you. I gotta ask you a question because I've been doing all the talking.
Okay.
What is something everyone should learn about in rodeo? What do you think? Like, if you're at a rodeo, saying it's a big crowd, and you meet a fan, what would be something you would want them to learn about our side of the fence?
Oh man. See, I write these questions for you to answer, not for you to flip them around on me because I don't have my answers prepared.
I thought that's what you wanted me to. Oh, sorry. I thought.
You're
Oh,
fine,
okay.
you're
You're
fine. You're fine. This is great. Okay. Man, if I had somebody come up to me at a rodeo and ask me that question, it's man, whenever I get done at a rodeo, I don't think a lot of people understand that it's just as simple as, competing. There's a lot of like stuff that happens back at the trailer and then the hauling, like the 7 hour plus 14-hour plus hauls to just one rodeo. That's a lot, and there's a lot of journey experience outside of the training pen, and outside of the rodeo pen. So I guess we're just kind of one step up from carnies when it comes to rodeoing,
that's
because
true.
because we're like, I mean, we're camping out of our horse trailers. Maybe we have a hotel if you can afford it,
That's if you're
and
winning.
that's if you're winning, yeah. And it's exhausting. Like sitting on the back of a horse and running at 1 a.m. because you're in the slack or because there's just that many people is a lot. Like, and I don't think a lot of people in the grandstands can understand how tired or fatigued we are when we're sitting on the back of a horse. We're
Oh man.
running at this one, then going to the next one. And maybe our horse will have 4 days off in between rodeos. Sometimes it's 3 runs, back to back, 3 days back to back. Um, but yeah, if I had a fan come up to me and was like, tell me something about rodeo, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Oh
A
man.
lot. A lot of
A lot.
character development that happens behind the scenes.
Yes. Humbling times. Humbling. If you want to get humbled, people do rodeo.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
want to test
yes,
your sanity as a human being, just buy a horse.
yeah, yep,
But
yep.
no, but I love, and this is so cool. We're doing this. It's my first live, so I feel you've popped my live cherry, I guess. but like Ellie, like I love Ellie stuff. Like I learned, shoot, Ellie. By the way, I learned from you. You're like the coolest. You explain bits the best. But no, that's just why I do love this sport is because it's like we said, it's you never stop learning. You never stop because and if you want to win, if you want to keep up with the competition, you better keep growing because there's somebody else out there that is putting in the work. And then, but two is I think I do truly believe the time you put into it, you will benefit. Like I haven't set the rodeo world on fire yet. Like I have, like I've had a lot. I still got a lot of goals. I wish I had, I thought I would have accomplished by now. But I mean, rodeo is such, in horses in general, it's such a science, and it's so like Tyson Durfee. I've seen him say like, not only do you have to be prepared and do everything right, you have to be very and how you to make that NFR and stuff. You have to be very intelligent. You have to. I mean, you gotta. It's just so it's yeah, and the money too. It's crazy. People. I'll sit there and I'll tell them my dreams, like what I want to do. How many times I get told I'm insane. Like that's not. It's because it is. It's I've been to like a Rope Myers clinic, and he went the year he won the world, and he set the record on 10 steers, and he said he was 34.6 on 10 head, and he won the world, and he said that year he went to 100 rodeos, and he placed at 64% of them. So like that 40 odd percent he wasn't winning, man, that's a long time to go without winning. And so it's like, and he's sitting there and he won the world that year. So that's where I
Hmm.
kind of tell kids that. And it's like you said, back to, you really got to want it. Like, how bad do you want this? Like, and it's like, and not just about winning a gold buckle. Cause that too, it's like for me anymore though, like there's just so many things you can. I just love good horses anymore. Like I stick around with it because of that one day I want to just have that one horse where you can just go win on anywhere. I guess that's the we're
Yeah.
just searching for gold for that one gym. But by the way,
Yeah.
your horse, by the way, is freaking, I think, working outstanding, doing
Oh,
pretty
thank
sweet
you.
for only and only 4 years old, right? 4.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow,
He's on 4.
that's so. I wish we could just like fast forward their ages. And
Yeah.
can you
That'd
grow
be
up
nice.
faster,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah.
Can you
Cause
grow up
like
faster?
with my colt, there's days, there's days where he'll give me the eye of like the eye of just like, I got it. I got it. And I'm like, there it is. That's a champion look right there. I'll come in the bar and he's just got the dark eyes just looking at me. And then there's other days where I'm like, you're a freaking 4-year-old. Like you're a
Yeah,
Fruit Loop. You're acting your age today. And I really hope that he's it. I would love to be able to pro rodeo on him if that ever was in our cards. I don't know if it is, but I'm not dealing him out yet. I'm not gonna deal him out yet. I mean, he's only 4 and he's he's 3D at big events right now with a lot of fixing he needs to do in his turns. Um, and he's 1D locally for Iowa, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it happens. Even if I take him pro rodeo and we're like 5D at pro rodeos, we're like super slow people at pro rodeos. What? Someone's got to lose at a pro rodeo. It might as well be
hey,
me. I'll volunteer as tribute. I don't care. But
I call it, donating. We're just
yeah,
you do a lot of
donating.
donating in rodeo. You're like, man, I just, I win so much. I just want to see the other guy win.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be my excuse. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
they pay 5 holes though, Sam.
yeah,
Shut up. I
yeah,
had a bad run, okay? No, it's
yeah.
no, I like, the older I get, people are like, you're still doing that rodeo stuff? Like, yeah, I'm probably gonna die in the arena. That's my
Yeah.
dream. Is just let me die in the arena. Short round at Pendleton, I'll be fine. If I die that way, be a good way to go, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Rodeo is like I I have a lot of people that have been in my life that have thought that it would die off. I went 2 years without horses, and I think a lot of people then thought, oh, okay, she doesn't have her horses anymore. Like she'll find a new hobby. No, that's just
Yeah.
not gonna happen. And that's when I ended up buying this little gray horse that I have. And yeah, took him to my first rodeo, and he did amazing for his first rodeo ever. Teeny tiny little pen. It was like a 14-second barrel pattern, teeny tiny, and he came in clutch. And I think that's just that it's rodeo. It's a drug. It's a drug.
Oh yeah. No, it is. It is. And I hate watching NFR every year because it just pisses me off because you want to be there. But that I pray that fire never goes away because like I love that because every year the NFR comes on, it just jacks me up again for. But of course, there's reality. Like the cost of it. It just getting to the point anymore. Like I mean, shoot, I broke it down. Like I've talked to the best. That it's $2,000 a week if you want to do it. For a living. If you want to go full
Hmm.
bore, I mean that's if you're like on a budget. But you're not rolling, fancy bloomer brand new at 450s. But that's a lot of overhead. That's a lot going out, and so it's like
Yeah.
and to win that 2,000 back. I mean, you might have to place at 3 or 4 rodeos that weekend just to get that. But I mean, but then again, though, I don't do it for at the end of the day. Like I want to win and be successful, you know, and do it for a living. But at the same time, like I just love like the horse. Like if I'm just on a horse in the arena and I'm back in the box, it's like also my therapy though too. It's people are like, oh man, you're always like, I got some family. You're always practicing. You're always doing
Yeah.
something. It's like It's the one place I go and I have. It's like my own little world. You get peace. It's like my therapy. Some people pay thousands of dollars for therapists. I just the horses are good listeners. They never talk back.
Yeah, yeah. The I think you were saying about how you like you back into the box. When you're there in the box and you got your horse set up, what is that moment like for you? Especially at a pro rodeo. Like when you're at a pro rodeo and you got that horse back in that
Oh
box,
man.
where are you at?
Oh have you ever heard of the movie? Kevin Costner, the actor. Yellowstone, of course. So there's a movie called For the Love of the Game, and
Yep.
if I would describe the scene where he's on the mound and he goes in slow mo, that is that is me. And especially the bigger the rodeo too, and the bigger the crowd, the more like when I was backing in at Cheyenne, the and this is the first rodeo. Like I backed in a lot of big rodeos, but like Cheyenne though, the crowd's going nuts. It's loud, and it was like on my first date or something, like my first kiss. I was just so nerd. I was like a little kid in a candy store. It's the best, but at the same time though, like I'm in like killer mode. Like me when bulldogging, because it is like it's a fight, and I had a stronger steer, especially like what steer you get to. But like I knew I had a strong steer, so like I was just like that steer was my enemy, like I'm gonna kill this steer. But no,
Yeah,
it's
no, I
like
get what you mean. I do. I get what you mean.
I go in like I think Kobe Bryant, he goes in like Mamba mode or whatever. I go in like that ninja. Like I'm just like the whole world just goes blank. I'm focused in, and I'm like as you can tell, like I blah blah. I'm ADD, like I'm all over the place. But like that's like bulldogging. I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's go time, and it's the best. That honestly that's the drug for me. That's why I mean, it's the best feeling in the world. And of course, you go out there, make a good run, and you win. It's even better. Or if you don't have a good run, it sucks. But that moment as you're backing in, it's like the world stops. You're in your own space. Things make sense.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
like and like when you said like everything goes quiet, I think that's my favorite part of barrel racing is when you're coming down the alleyway and your horse starts doing the whole rock. I call it the rocking horse when it starts
yep,
jumping
yep.
on front and back
Let's go.
legs.
Let's
Not
go.
acting
Yep.
like crazy or anything, but just like kind of like, yeah, let's go. And I'm sitting there and I'm rocking back and forth in the saddle and I'm just like, there it is. And my ears start ringing. My ears will start like high pitched ringing sounds and
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that.
everything gets real blurry except for that first barrel. And that's my favorite. And then you can feel the heartbeat of the horse through the saddle. And I feel like a lot of people maybe don't experience that because
I
like
honestly have not experienced that.
that feeling is crazy. My little gray horse does that. His heartbeat will come through the saddle. And oh, that's like that right there is what I live for. When I'm coming down an alleyway and he starts doing that and I feel his heartbeat, I'm like, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, and bulldogging too, like in the feel of horses, like bulldog horses, they have every horse is different, and that's the truth. And especially in like bulldog that back, like some horses they give you trouble. But my favorite thing, and I even get more jacked up, is my favorite horse I ever rode so far at Riley Duval's. He had this bay horse. I think I call him Brownie, but he retired 2 years ago. But I was in San Angelo, and it was the first time I ever rode this horse ever. And but I knew, Riley always has good horses. So, but I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna click with this horse, but as soon as I got on this horse, it's like I rode him 1,000 times, and like when it's so smooth and easy, and that's the great ones, that like when they just do it for you, and you just got to be a good pilot. And oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, oh, I was like, can I please have this horse? And I go out there and I'm 3A on the first time I rode this horse, and Riley's like, of course, you want to buy this horse, Sam? I'm like, Riley, shut up, because I know I can't
Yeah.
afford the price that you want.
Yeah.
But no, it's yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up because that is shoot. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I'm always
Yeah,
just
I do
like
too.
people at work like, Sam, where's your mind at? Shut up. I'm running the steer at Cheyenne right now.
Yeah. 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 Shush. Yeah. Yeah. That's me at work. Whenever I'm at work, I'm sitting there thinking about, okay, I have this horse. It's got this problem. How can I get him to do A, B, C, and D? how can I get my horse to turn this barrel a little tighter? He kind of wants to drift, he kind of wants to slide. Like, how can I get that tightened down? That's where my brain's at work, is figuring out how to get
Mhm.
all of those nuts and bolts screwed down so I can make a really quick run.
I love that you got your videos too. Like when I first started seeing your video, I really like what you do with like desensitizing your horses, like exposing them to things like you wouldn't think of. Like that's just cool because you're think like I've never even thought about doing that stuff, and that really is some cool techniques that you use. Because just
You
thinking now,
talking about my
especially
pool noodles?
yeah, your noodles, yeah, that's funny. Like what
Yeah, I
like
don't
did you
do
have a
that
name for
very
it? It's the pool
often.
noodle lady, yeah. I
Yep.
thought that was funny. That's hilarious. But so many people are like, what is this crap? This looks retarded. But I'm like, it just preparing your horse for situations they're gonna face in the future. And because man, you've probably seen it all. I've seen it all. I've seen horses do some great. It's crazy what I'm more scared of a horse that's scared and nervous in a small space than like that's. I'm more scared of that than like a bull, because the horse you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what they're gonna do, and yeah, back to the humbling moments of, and times of like, why do we do this sport again? Why do we do this?
Yeah. No, there's been
But
so
no.
many times where I've come running into a barrel and there's a banner right there by that first barrel. And I have a horse that'll come in and they'll see that big banner and they'll just lock up the brakes because they're like, nope, I want no part of that. And it's like, it's because their mind's not in the arena. They're all looking at all the big crowds and all the banners and flags. And I can get pretty scary real quick. I had a rodeo wreck this past year because of it. I had up my horse, my little gray horse, ran him into the first barrel, and there was a big concrete wall with a bunch of little kids with their feet dangling over it. And he didn't know what to think.
Oh,
He hit the brakes, did a rollback, didn't even turn. He did a rollback and jumped over the barrel.
oh
He was
man.
like, "I'm gonna listen, but I'm gonna get out of this situation as fast as possible." And then we ended up knocking because he jumped over the barrel. But yeah, so yeah, those, like you said, humbling moments.
Yeah, because like I ran like 200 steers on my horse before I took him to his first rodeo. But you get to the rodeo and it's like you're starting all over again. And like the way that you're like, man, we've done this, and 200, that's nothing, right? Like, but at the end of the day, you can run all the steers you want at home, but they still got they've, you know, you, man, I've been to this St. Paul. Like I took him to St. Paul too, and he just, the big rodeos, like the small rodeos, he worked phenomenal. Like them small cert rodeos, they're not as noisy, but like them big rodeos, lots of noise. Um, yeah, he couldn't handle it. And it's like, and you're like, oh, is he ever gonna get over this hump, or is he just gonna keep doing this, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
some,
Yeah.
like maybe you can make a machine that like prints out what horses' thoughts are. Can they talk to us somehow? Can we get horses to talk to us sometime?
Yeah. Horse communicators, man. Get them horse psychics.
Yeah. Yeah, the trees,
No.
Ellie, yes, the trees in St. Paul. That's why I posted that today. It's funny we talk about, yeah. That probably is I love that road because it's like 4th of July. I always like, why do they have trees in that area? But no.
Or little Christmas
So
trees in St. Paul. Yep.
yeah, you're gonna have to start entering these rodeos. We just need to find some
Oh,
sponsors, right?
you know,
Any rich
the
people out
day that
there?
I can run the Green Mile or go to Cheyenne or go to St. Paul, those days that I go to those rodeos, I'm going to be behind the drag at the rodeo puking my guts out because I'm going to be so nervous. That's going to be me. I'm going to be the girl over there barfing because she's so nervous.
Um, the first I will say, like the first time I ran one on the grass at Pendleton, I did that. I puked. But it also is, and that we go to like the mental aspect. Like this year at Pendleton, and I had to enter it for a couple years because Pendleton, it's like I get, either if you don't have a horse, and I haven't had a horse for a while, but to get mounted there is especially extremely, Pendleton, like that rodeo, it's almost impossible to get mounted there. Like if someone's mounting you, they've been mounting you all year, but it's because it's one little instant, one little pothole, and like your horse is done, in that grass. It's just, and and for people who don't understand, like that grass is not soft whatsoever. And especially if they have like the big barrel slack on Monday. So after barrel slack, it's really like it feels like
Pack
concrete
down.
almost. Yeah, it's just it is not fun. And but no, this year like what I did though is like I watched a video on Tyson Durfee and he said one time he tried to sit there and visualize his runs for like an hour, just literally visualizing the run from start to finish. And it is difficult. Like I sit there and make runs all day, but I won't, just sit. And that's what I kind of did for Pendleton. Like that morning of like for an hour straight, I just kind of got music buds in, and like I literally was just visualizing the perfect run, and like I was visualizing what it smelled, what it felt like, and you just take yourself to a mental spot where you're like, I'm a robot. This is gonna go perfect. I've done the, you know, and that's where, and also, I mean, the big rodeos. The thing is, I think it's so easy to build it up to something bigger that it's not. Because at the end of the day, you still got to just go do your job and make your run. And
Hmm.
don't even mention Calgary, Ellie. I haven't. They won't. You have to get invited to that one. Oh, Calgary, that would be so cool to go to. That I will. I've never been to there, but that would be a cool one. But yeah, but no, yeah, like I think the hardest key is one rodeo, get that horse that you can, get the horse to the level where you can go in anywhere, and then that'd be that's a goal itself. But then to just get yourself mentally prepared, and that's I'm still working. That's still a struggle to me too. It definitely is like that's the stress that comes with because like you say, you're like, okay, here I am at Pendleton. I've worked my butt off all year long, and there's still luck that and at the end of the day, there's elements that you can't control, like you don't
Yeah.
draw good, or barrel, like you get a bad, you don't get the rake that first run after the rake, you got the last one. So that's why sissies don't play this sport, I think, because it's
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what advice would you give to people trying to get their PRCA permit?
what advice I'd give 'em? I would say bef- before you get your permit, I would say go make sure you dominate those amateur rodeos, and then get your confidence up, and then get your permit. Like when you get your permit, you should be ready, because you're you're already on a permit, and you go to rodeos that are only that take permit holders. They're usually smaller rodeos. You still got to beat them guys that are winning at the big rodeos. So I'd say before you get your permit, make sure you have a lot of confidence. Make sure you got a good horse. Make sure you plan out you got a plan instilled that, hey, I'm going to go with this guy this year, and you make a plan and you stick with that plan. Don't veer. Try not to vary from that plan, because rodeo. It's so easy to, like, if something's not working one week, you're like, you want to jump ship and go ride in bulldogging. You want to, oh, maybe I'll go ride this guy's horse. No, I would say beginning of the year, find a guy you want to travel with, or if you got your own horse, or he's got a horse you can ride, and I would stick with that partner, and and make a plan together as a team and stick with it. And I think you're gonna have more success that way than just like, say you get to the fort, where I've had years where I've gone 2 months and I haven't won nothing, and then I'm like, man, well, I gotta change something. I would just stick with that plan, because at the end of the day, you're eventually gonna draw a good one, or make a plan, stick with it.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing. And have fun. Even this is
Have
the
fun.
hardest thing to do, I think. Even when like you're on that low roller coaster, remember to have fun. Like when the rodeo's done, like go do something, have fun after the rodeo, and get your mind off it. Like don't carry the last run with you, is what I'm trying to say. Like, have a short memory too. On
Yeah.
to the next one. On to like Dale Brisby says, on to the next one.
On to the next one. Yeah, I think that's one thing I struggle with, especially when it comes to barrel racing, is leaving that run in that pen. Like, don't go and bring it to the next one or bring it to the training pen. Like, the horse was that way that day. You were that person that day. Leave it alone. Move on to the next thing. On the way home from the rodeo, don't sit quietly in the truck.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Not be your worst enemy. That is something that took me a long time, and I still struggle with it. Oh, but I've gotten so much better in the last couple of years. Is being not being so hard on yourself. I think because rodeo is such a you you could sit here and pick your own apart to pieces and drive yourself insane if you wanted to, but I think the biggest key is just yeah, have fun. Like why? Because why are we doing this? Yeah, we put so much time. There's so much science behind it. We put a lot of effort and time, but we need to remember why you're doing it. And I think if a person can do that, just have fun, even when it's not going your way. Of course, you go a year with something. You got to fix. Make sure you're fixing those issues, but not making it such a. Because I mean, that's where the sport is just so it's so rare, it's so different than any other sport because one, we got to pay the entry, we're putting up all the money and we got to produce our own results, and but at some same time you're just gonna not like I said, back to the rope deal, you're gonna have part of the year where you're not gonna win, and if you can either pick yourself apart and just hate and that's how a guy, I've seen so many guys quit rodeo, and it's because they don't handle adversity very well, and I've definitely been on the other side where I haven't handled it well. But then, like this year, like I definitely didn't win as much as I wanted to, but I got so much better, and it just fun. I had fun. But of course, I hold myself to a high standard. But I wanted to win the circuit. I wanted to win this much, and I didn't. But the old me, I would just sit here and like get insecure about it, and well, I suck, and blah blah blah, and blame and make excuses, and then instead of just like hey, this is where you know like this year, like my horsemanship got so much better, and like that was a win for me, to be honest. Like my horsemanship, some things that I've been really working on lately, and to see improvement and like take joy in that small improvement, I think is huge because it's going to lead to the next improvement. And instead of it's so like you said, like people just want to see results tomorrow, and it's like, but and like I would say, it is worth it to put in the time, and you do start seeing progress, and you start looking and like looking for that progress, and not looking for your well, I messed up here, I suck. Instead of going, hey, you know what? I maxed out the barrier right there. Like I scored perfect, and I rode to my spot. I was happy with that, and then move on. Yeah, and definitely, and then make a plan for the next year, or go to the practice pit
yeah,
and work on that bad habit, and then. Well, I hate to cut the party short. I got to go.
yeah,
But
I really gotta
we
get
should
going
definitely
too
do
because
this
they gotta.
again
Yeah, we need to do
because
this
I
again. What is some advice you want to leave for younger athletes, rodeo athletes?
find go on Facebook because we have social media. Go find the best people in the sport event you're doing, and ask them questions. Ask those guys what And then two, I would say if you really really want to try it out, I would don't go to just some stranger's house, and go to a professional clinic or school, like a world champion school, and you're gonna find out at the end of that clinic if you want to do it or not, because they're gonna push you, and you're gonna find out what it's all about at the clinic, at a good clinic, versus especially in bulldogging, you just go tap. You don't just go. It needs to be organized and done right. You don't just go. Well, there's a steer that's been sitting in the pasture for 3 years. Let's go throw him. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I've seen that, and with bulldogging, I've seen kids like one bad experience can just kill a kid's confidence forever. So I would say, um, start slow, watch some YouTube, go to social media, watch videos, and then go ask the best, and then go to a clinic. Save up, go to a clinic, and then I think that's the best thing a beginner can do.
awesome. Well, it was really great having this conversation. We definitely need to do it again. I feel
Yes.
like a lot of people probably got something from it. There's like 552 likes. So I know
Dapple
there was,
Doe, thank you for the good comment. Ellie, thank you for chiming in. You're awesome. You should do one of these with Ellie. Ellie is the
yep,
bee's
I have one
knees.
set up with her, actually. Yep,
Oh, let me know. I'm definitely gonna watch that.
yep.
And then yes, we need to do this, and like I think we should definitely like create a podcast where we get professional and get like microphones and stuff, you know,
Yeah,
look
yeah,
cool.
hell yeah. That's the goal. We gotta start somewhere, right?
Yep.
Definitely. All
All
right,
right. Well,
awesome.
thank you
Have a good
everyone who
night.
ever tuned in. Um, if anyone sees us on YouTube, I hope this helped. This was fun.
Yeah,
And you go kick butt. Go do you.
yep,
Keep grinding. Don't let the haters get you down.
yep, exactly. All
And give
right, have a
your
good night.
all right. We'll see you later.
Yeah, bye.